Now we begin in Nigeria, where revelations that managers of the grounded airline Arik Air systematically plundered the company. This, of course, has sparked widespread condemnation. Investigations by the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria show that the former managers deliberately pushed the airline into $1.2 billion debt. Now, international auditing firm KPMG is carrying out a forensic investigation at the company, and it is expected that key managers will be prosecuted. Nigeria's biggest airlines troubles mounted at the end of last year when about 70% of its international flights were delayed. Well, let's get an update on this. Sophia Dango now joins us in Abuja. Sophia, as always, welcome to the show. Now, we know AMCON injected about 1.5 billion naira into Arik Air since, of course, it went into receivership. But there are reports out there that almost 400 billion naira in debt is just too overwhelming for the government right now. Now, how true is it, Sophia, that the government is contemplating selling off or liquidating the airline?
Well, Uche, it is very true that the government has for some time now been contemplating the sale of Arik Air, really due to the fact that the largest domestic airline was having a hard time, an extremely difficult time, really servicing its debt. And the Nigerian government had stepped in to sort of mitigate that and really take on what they could. But Arik Air, as the investigations deepen, really has to show some kind of evidence that there was not gross mismanagement, that indeed the aviation structure there was in place and it just simply could not sustain itself or went into bankruptcy, just like many other airlines do. But at the moment, the Asset and Management Corporation is saying that it is very viable that Arik may be taken over, even though it may seem in a hostile way, really just to save the airline itself. When we visited the premises last year, we spoke to the former managing director, Chris Nulule, who really did not give any sense that there was a problem at Arik Air. In fact, he mentioned to us that the future for Arik Air looked rather bright. Uche.
And Sophia, currently fingers are pointing at Arik Air's former chairman and certainly its managers. They say they deliberately led the airline into ruin. Does it look like the government may take legal action against them going forward?
Well, right now, the evidence does not necessarily point to what the government says, but rather what Arik Air can show in terms of what they tried to do to help the airline. The management at Arik had continuously asserted that they were looking for international investors. They had approached, some international entities who had said that they would inject foreign flows into Arik and keep the domestic airline afloat. The Nigerian government at the moment is putting a significant amount of pressure on the management at Arik Air to really prove that they did not enter into agreements or, did not pay, for example, insurance fees and airline overheads that were not paid really due to mismanagement. And therefore, both sides really have to be heard out going forward.
And Sophia, what does this mean for the overall domestic airline industry in Nigeria? Of course, we know they're facing quite a lot. Of course, they're carrying a lot of debt. They're suspending services as well due to dollar shortages and, of course, shortages in jet fuel. So going forward, what does this mean for the overall industry?
Well, the aviation industry has taken a considerable setback. You have mentioned, indeed, there have been shortages in fuel and also in forex. But a third element that was not foreseen was really the shutdown of the main airport here in Abuja that has been a significant contributor in cutting back passenger flows, which really has negatively impacted on nearly 14 airlines, 15 including Arik Air. There is no doubt that the aviation industry here in Nigeria has really been hit significantly, at least in the last 6 months. The way forward now for Arik and many other domestic carriers is really how to limit these bankruptcy cases and how to still continue serving. In the case of Arik, for example, all states were reachable, at least where there was an airport. And so it's that forward momentum that the aviation industry, along with the Nigerian government, is really hoping to sustain here. Uche.
Well, many thanks, Sophia, for those insights. Sophia Dango joining us there in Abuja.